welcome to the library for Storytime. Are you ready for some stories? Okay. We've been doing this for a few years and you like it. It's fun. So thank you for joining us. I just wanted to let you know that we also have snacks. And sometime before you leave, you should help yourself to those. But we're going to get started now so that we have time for the people who are here to read you stories. And the first person who will read a story is named David Stewart, and he will tell you about the book that he's going to read.
Thank you, Rhonda. Welcome. We're really glad you guys are here. I'm going to read a book about a boy and a penguin. And it's called Lost and Found. Any of you have a pet penguin? I didn't think so.
I have a pet dog.
You do?
I have a pet bird.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
I have one cat.
Excellent. You ready for a story about a boy and a penguin? Great. Here we go. Once there was a boy who found a penguin at his door. It's the penguin. The boy didn't know where the penguin had come from, but it began to follow him everywhere. The penguin looked sad, and the boy thought, it must be lost. So the boy decided to help the penguin find its way home. He checked in the Lost and Found office, but no one was missing a penguin. Then he asked some birds if they knew where the penguin came from, but they ignored him. Some birds are like that. The boy asked his duck. You see him, he's in the bathtub, and there's a duck. But the duck floated away. He didn't know either. That night, the boy couldn't sleep for disappointment. He wanted to help the penguin, but he wasn't sure how. The next morning, he discovered, by reading this book, that penguins come from the South Pole. But how could he get there? He ran down to the harbor and asked a big ship to take them to the South Pole. But his voice was much too small to be heard over the ship's loud whistle. Together, the boy decided he and the penguin would row all the way to the South Pole. So the boy took his rowboat out and tested it for size and strength. He told stories to the penguin to help pass the time. Then they packed everything they would need and pushed the rowboat out to sea. They rowed south for many days and many nights. There was lots of time for stories, and the penguin listened to every one. So the boy would always tell another story. They floated through good weather and bad, where the waves were so big they were like mountains, until finally they came to the South Pole. Here's a sign that says, "Welcome to the South Pole." So they knew they were in the right place. The boy was delighted, but the penguin said nothing. Suddenly, it looked sad again as the boy helped it out of the boat. Then the boy said goodbye and floated away. When he looked back, the penguin was still there, but it looked even sadder than ever. It felt strange for the boy to be on his own. There was no point telling stories now because there was no one to listen except the wind and the waves. Instead, the boy just thought, and he thought some more. the more he realized he had made a big mistake. The penguin hadn't been lost, it had just been lonely. Quickly, the boy turned the boat around and rowed back to the South Pole as fast as he could. At last he reached the South Pole, but where was the penguin? The boy searched and searched, but he was nowhere to be found. Sadly, the boy set off for home. But then the boy saw something in the water ahead of him. Closer and closer he got, until he could see the penguin. He found the penguins. You see how happy they are to see each other again. And so the boy and his friend went home together, talking of wonderful things all the way. The end. Next paragraph.
Yes.
You're next.
Hey kids, I think I know some of you. Do I know some of you? I think I do. Well, I'm going to read a story. It's a really, actually it's not a story, it's just a simple ABC book. Okay, do you know your ABCs? Okay. And this ABC book is all about Star Wars. You see this person on my shirt? Who do you think this is?
Darth Vader.
Yeah, this book is all about Darth Vader and his various friends and relationships. Okay, so let's begin. A is for Anakin. Anakin is an amazing Jedi, and in my opinion, he just keeps getting better and better as he gets older. B is for Boba Fett. Boba Fett is a bounty hunter. He chases and captures people for money. It can be an honorable profession if done for the right reasons. C is for C-3PO. C-3PO speaks countless languages. He can understand just about every language. Okay? So it's important for you to study a second language when you get to college. Okay. D is for, who do you think this guy is?
Darth Vader.
Good. Darth Vader is a dark lord of the Sith.
My daddy has a Darth Vader too.
Really? In my humble opinion, he's merely misunderstood. E is for Ewok. The Ewoks fight against the Empire. What did the Ewoks
We
look like?
used to have that for Christmas.
Oh, really? Yeah, the Ewoks fight against the Empire. They're small like you guys, but they are mighty. F is for the Force. The Force flows through the galaxy. Okay? It's the power that makes the universe function. General Grievous. General Grievous has glowing lightsabers. He has many different arms too. He a little scary to you? Does he look scary? You guys could beat him, huh? In a fight. H is for Han Solo. Han Solo flies high-speed spaceships. And in the movies, sometimes his friends mispronounce his name as Han, but it's Han. Okay? It's very important to remember that. It's an important piece of cultural knowledge. I is for IG-88. IG-88 is a dangerous droid. He is the original Terminator. J is for Jedi. A Jedi Knight defends peace and justice. They use the good side of the Force. K is for Kaminoans. The Kaminoans keep to themselves and are expert cloners. Do you know what cloning is? When you're older and freshman at Bethel, you should take my Philosophy 110 ethics class, and there we'll talk about this. L is for Luke Skywalker. Luke is a legendary Jedi, very powerful in the Force, just like, spoiler, his dad. I just ruined part of your childhood. M is for Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon is faster than many other spaceships. They did the Kessel Run in like 4 parsecs. N is for the N1 Starfighter. The N1 Starfighter protects the planet Naboo. Okay? It's a beautiful, diverse planet. O is for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan is training the Chosen One. The Chosen One is going to bring balance to the Force. Okay? P is for, who do you think this is? Who? Princess Leia. Princess Leia strives for peace in the galaxy, and she is an amazing young woman. She's a princess. She's a general too. Okay. Q is for Queen Amidala. Queen Amidala is a quiet but strong senator. She's a leader in the Galactic Senate of the Old Republic. R is for, does anyone know who this is?
R2D2.
Yes, that's right. R is for R2D2. R2D2 is a clever robot, and he's very good at math. Okay? So if you want to be clever like R2D2, you need to start studying math probably now. S is for Stormtrooper. Stormtroopers serve on Imperial Star Destroyers.
When we went to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, they had some
They had some Legos.
Legos.
That sounds wonderful. T is for TIE Fighter. The TIE Fighters can twirl and twist. Technically, they are superior to the X-Wing fighter. U is for Ugnaught. Ugnaughts are useful creatures. These are the guys that help to make sure that when Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite, he remains alive. Okay? V is for Vulture Droid. Do they look scary to you? Do you think we could beat these guys? Vulture droids veer through space. W is for Wookiee. Yeah, Chewbacca is a Wookiee. This is his species. The Wookiee has wavy fur. Isn't that nice? Don't you like to use Chewbacca as a warm blanket? Especially in wintertime. X is for X-Wing. This spaceship has wings shaped like the letter X. See? There's a little X in the wing. That's why they call them X-Wings. Okay. Y is for Yoda. Yoda is a very powerful Jedi Knight. Guess who he trains in the ways of the Force? He trains little kids about your age. He's a specialist in bringing out your powers in the good side of the Force. There are alternatives, however. Z is for Zam. Zam is a zigzagging shapeshifter. Do you know what a shapeshifter is? A shapeshifter is a creature that can take any shape and imitate any person or creature in the entire universe. Is that amazing? So that's all I have for you today. Mr. ABC's the Star Wars. Remember, start thinking about Star Wars early, often. It's very important for cultural awareness.
Hi guys, my name is Barrette. Do you guys own any cats? Does anyone own a cat? No? Do you guys have any pets?
I
Yeah?
have a dog.
Ooh, a dog. That's
I
awesome.
have birds.
Awesome. Well, this book is about cats. This one's called Millions of Cats.
I have that book at home.
Yeah, do you like it? Yeah, it's a good book. Okay. Millions of Cats. Once upon a time, there was a very old man and a very old woman. They lived in a nice, clean house, which had flowers all around it, except where the door was. But they couldn't be happy because they were very lonely.
They didn't have a cat.
I know, isn't that sad? If we only had a cat, sighed the very old woman. A cat? Asked the very old man. Yes, a sweet little fluffy cat, said the very old woman. I will get you a cat, my dear, said the very old man. And he set out over the hills to look for one. He climbed over the sunny hills. He trudged through the cool valleys. He walked a long, long time, and at last he came to a hill which was quite covered with cats. What would you guys do if you saw a hill covered with cats? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Cats here, cats there, cats and kittens everywhere. Hundreds of cats, thousands of cats, millions and billions and trillions of cats. Whoa, that's a lot of
We
cats.
can't even count them.
I know. How high can you count?
I can count all the way to 100.
Wow.
I can count to 1,000.
Wow. Well, there are even more cats than that on this hill. Oh, cried the man joyfully. Now I can choose the prettiest cat and take it home with me. So he chose one, but it was white. But just as he was about to leave, he saw another one, all black and white, just as pretty as the first. So he took this one also. But then he saw a fuzzy gray kitten way over here, which was every bit as pretty as the others, so he took it too. And now he saw one way down in a corner, which he thought was too lovely to leave, so he took this one too. And just then, over here, a very old man found a kitten, which was black and very beautiful. It would be a shame to leave that one, said the very old man. So he took it. Wow, he's collecting quite a lot of cats. And now, over there, he saw a cat which had brown and yellow stripes, like a baby tiger. I simply must have it, cried the very old man. And he did. Wow, do you see how many cats he's got in his arms? That's a lot of cats. They'd be struggling all over. So it happened that every time the very old man looked up, he saw another cat, which was so pretty he could not bear to leave it. And before he knew it, he had chosen them all. Wow. And he went back over the sunny hills down through the cool valleys to show all his pretty kittens to the very old woman. It was very funny to see those hundreds and thousands and millions and billions and trillions of cats following him. Look, they're all the way back there. And he's up here. Oh my gosh. They came to a pond. Mew, mew! We are thirsty, cried the hundreds of cats, thousands of cats, millions and billions and trillions of cats. Well, here is a great deal of water, said the very old man. Each cat took a sip of water, and the pond was gone. Oh my gosh. Mew, mew! Now we are hungry, said the hundreds of cats, thousands of cats, millions and billions and trillions of cats. There is much grass on the hills, said the very old man. Each cat ate a mouthful of grass, and not a blade was left. They're eating everything. How can he possibly take care of all these cats? Pretty soon, the very old woman saw them coming. My dear, she cried, what are you doing? I asked for one little cat, and what do I see? Cats here, cats there, cats and kittens everywhere, hundreds of cats, thousands of cats, millions and billions and trillions of cats. What if your friend gave you millions of cats? But we can never feed them all, said the very old woman. They will eat us out of house and home. I never thought that, said the very old man. What shall we do? The very old woman thought for a while, and then she said, I know. We will let the cats decide which one we should keep. Oh yes, said the very old man. And he called to the cats, which one of you is the prettiest? I am. I am. No, I am. No, I am. I'm the prettiest. I am. No, I am. I am, cried hundreds and thousands, millions and billions and trillions of voices, for each cat thought itself the prettiest. And they began to quarrel. Do you know what quarreling means? They began to fight. That's not very pretty, especially if hundreds and thousands of cats are fighting. They bit and scratched and clawed each other and made such a great noise that the very old man and the very old woman ran to the house as fast as they could. They did not like such quarreling, but after a while the noise stopped, and the very old man and the very old woman peeped out of the window to see what had happened. They could not see a single cat. Where did they all go? I think back to the hill? I don't know. He come up with a different idea. I think that they must have eaten each other all up. Oh, that's scary, said the very old woman. It's too bad. But look, said the very old man, and he pointed to a bunch of high grass. In it sat a little frightened kitten. They went out and picked it up. It was thin and scrawny. Oh. So it's not the pretty cat that they were hoping for. Poor little kitty, said the very old woman. Dear little kitty, said the very old man. How does it happen that you were not eaten up with all those hundreds and thousands, and millions and billions and trillions of cats? Oh, I'm just a very homely little cat, said the kitten. So when you asked who was the prettiest, I didn't say anything. So nobody bothered about me. They took the kitten into the house, where the very old woman gave it a warm bath and brushed its fur until it was soft and shiny. Every day they gave it plenty of milk, and soon it grew nice and plump. And it is a very pretty cat, after all, said the very old woman. It is the most beautiful cat in the whole world, said the very old man. I ought to know, for I've seen hundreds of cats, thousands of cats, millions and billions and trillions of cats, and not one was as pretty as this one. And now they're all able to sit together and play with the one cute little kitty that they have. The end.
Hi, everybody. I want to warn you before I start. This book has a lion in it, and the lion might roar. But it's a nice lion. It's a library lion. You might have. It's Tommy's favorite, that's why I picked it. One day, a lion came to the library. He walked right past the circulation desk and up into the stacks. Mr. McBee ran down the hall to the head librarian's office. "Ms. Merriweather?" he called. "No running," said Ms. Merriweather without looking up. "But there's a lion," said Mr. McBee, "in the library." "Is he breaking any rules?" asked Ms. Merriweather. She was very particular about rule breaking. "Well, no," said Mr. McBee, "not really." Leave him be. The lion wandered all around the library. He sniffed the card catalog. He rubbed his head against the new book collection. Then he padded over to the story corner and went to sleep. No one was sure what to do. There weren't any rules about lions in the library. Soon it was time for story hour. There weren't any rules about lions at story hour either. The story lady seemed a little nervous, but she read out the first book's title in a good, clear voice. The lion looked up. The story lady kept reading. The lion stayed for the next story, and the story after that. He waited for another story, but the children began to walk away. "Story hour is over," the little girl told him. "It's time to go." The lion looked at the children. He looked at the story lady. He looked at the closed books, and then he roared very loud. Miss Merriweather came striding out of her office. "Who is making that noise?" she demanded. "It's the lion," said Mr. McBee. Miss Merriweather marched over to the lion. "If you cannot be quiet, you will have to leave," she said in a stern voice. "Those are the rules." The lion kept roaring. He sounded sad. The little girl tugged at Miss Merriweather's dress. "If he promises to be quiet, can you come back for story hour tomorrow?" she asked. The lion stopped roaring. He looked at Miss Merriweather. Miss Merriweather looked back, and then she said yes. A nice, quiet lion would certainly be allowed to come back for story hour tomorrow. "Hooray!" the children said. The next day the lion came back. "You are early," said Miss Merriweather. "Story hour is not until 3 o'clock. The lion did not budge. "Very well," said Miss Merriweather. "You might as well make yourself useful." She sent him to dust the encyclopedias until it was time for story hour. The next day the lion came again. This time, Miss Merriweather asked him to lick all the envelopes for the overdue notices. Soon the lion began doing things without being asked. He dusted the encyclopedias. He licked the envelopes. He let small children stand on his back, reach books and high shelves. Then he curled up in the story corner to wait for story hour to begin. At first, people in the library got nervous about the lion, but soon they were used to having him around. In fact, he seemed very well suited to the library. His big feet were quiet on the library floor. He made a comfy backrest for the children at story hour, and he never roared in the library anymore. "What a helpful lion," people said. They patted his soft head as he walked by. "How do we ever get along without him?" Mr. McBee scowled when he heard that. They'd always gotten along fine, but no lions were needed. Lions, he thought, did not understand rules. They did not belong in the library. One day, after he dusted all the encyclopedias and licked all the envelopes and helped all the small children, the lion padded down the hall to see Miss Merriweather's office to see what else there was to do. There was still some time left before story hour. "Hello, lion," said Miss Merriweather. "I know something you can do. You can bring a book back to the stacks for me. Just let me get it down from the shelf." Miss Merriweather stepped onto the step stool. The book was just out of reach. Miss Merriweather stood on her toes. She stretched out her fingers. "Almost there," she said. And then Miss Merriweather stretched a little too far. "Ouch," said Miss Merriweather softly. She did not get up. "Mr. McBee," she called after a minute. "Mr. McBee." But Mr. McBee was at the circulation desk. He could not hear her calling. "Lion," said Miss Merriweather, "please go get Mr. McBee." The lion ran down the hall. "No running," she called after him. The lion put his paws up on the circulation desk and looked at Mr. McBee. "Go away, lion," said Mr. McBee. "I'm busy." The lion whined. He pointed his nose down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office. Mr. McBee ignored him. Finally, the lion did the only thing he could think to do. He looked at Mr. McBee right in the eye, then he opened his mouth very wide, and then he roared the loudest roar he'd ever roared in his whole life. Mr. McBee gasped. "You're not being quiet," he said to the lion. "You're breaking the rules." Mr. McBee walked down the hall as fast as he could. The lion did not follow him. He knew that he had broken the rules, and he knew what that meant. He hung his head and walked towards the door. Mr. McBee did not notice. Miss Merriweather, he called as he walked. Miss Merriweather, the lion has broken the rules, the lion has broken the rules. He burst into Miss Merriweather's office. She was not in her chair. Miss Merriweather, he asked. Sometimes, Miss Merriweather said from the floor behind her desk, there is a good reason to break the rules, even in the library. Now please go call a doctor. I think I've broken my arm. Mr. McBee ran to call a doctor. No running, Miss Merriweather called after him. The next day, things were back to normal. Almost. Miss Merriweather's left arm was in a cast. The doctor had told her not to work too hard. I will have my lion to help me, Miss Merriweather thought. But the lion did not come to the library that morning. At 3 o'clock, Miss Merriweather walked over to the story corner. The story lady was just beginning a story for the children, but the lion was not there. People in the library kept looking up from their books and their computer screens, hoping they would see a familiar furry face. But the lion did not come that day. He did not come the next day. He did not come the day after that. One evening, Mr. McBee stopped at Miss Merriweather's office on his way out. Can I do anything for you before I go, Miss Merriweather? He asked. No, thank you, said Miss Merriweather. She was looking out the window. Her voice was very quiet, even for the library. Mr. McBee frowned as he walked away. He thought that probably there was something he could do for Miss Merriweather after all. Mr. McBee left the library, but he did not go home. He walked around the neighborhood. He looked under cars. He looked behind bushes. He looked in the backyards and trash cans and tree houses. Finally, he circled all the way back to the library. The lion was sitting outside, looking through the glass doors. Hello, lion. The lion did not turn around. I thought you'd like to know, said Mr. McBee, that there's a new rule at the library. No roaring allowed unless you have a very good reason. Say you've been trying to help a friend who's been hurt, for example. The lion's ears twitched. He turned around, but Mr. McBee was already walking away. The next day, Mr. McBee walked down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office. What is it, Mr. McBee? Said Miss Merriweather in her new, sad, quiet voice. I thought you might like to know, said Mr. McBee, that there's a lion in the library. Miss Merriweather jumped up from her chair and ran down the hall. Mr. McBee smiled. No running, he called after her. Miss Merriweather did not listen.
My name is Keeffe. I have a special book for you today that I used to read to my kids when they were about your age. It's called No Matter What. Small was feeling grim and grumpy. Good grief, said Large. What is the matter? I'm grim and grumpy, said Little Small, and I don't think you love me at all. Oh, Small, said Large, grumpy or not, I'll always love you no matter what. If I were a grumpy grizzly bear, would you still love me? Would you still care? Of course, said Large, bear or not, I'd always love you no matter what. But if I turned into a squishy bug, would you still love me and give me a hug? Of course, said Large, bug or not, I'd always love you no matter what. No matter what, said Small with a smile. What if I were a crocodile? I'd still hold you close and snug and tight and tuck you up in bed each night. Would you want to tuck in a crocodile? But does love wear out? Does it break or bend? Can you fix it or patch it? Does it mend? With time together, a smile and a kiss, love can be mended with things like this. But what about when you're far away? Does your love go too, or does it stay? Look up at the stars. They're far, far away, but their light reaches us at the end of each day. It's like that with love. We may be close, we may be far, but our love still surrounds us wherever we are. And I wish the author would have said at the end, I'll always love you no matter what.
So, I have a book about a little brave mouse and a big proud lion called The Mouse and Lion. One day, Mouse, hurrying home, lost his way on a rocky ridge. He was in such a rush he scampered right over a tiny boulder that lay in his path. Well, that boulder rolled over and caught him by the tail. It was King Lion in a bad humor. Scampering over my back while I was asleep. I'm not going to punish you, Runt. I'm going to eat you. Mouse found barely enough courage to squeak, Sir, I took you for a mountain. Honestly. Me, a mountain? Lion mused. That is possible. He swung Mouse to his whiskery jaws and growled. Mouse spun slowly as he dangled. He dangled as he spun. He squinted into Lion's mouth, feeling his warm breath, nothing his yellow teeth. Please, let me go, Mouse cried. I promise to be loyal. I'm a brave mouse, sire. Put me down and I'll show you. Brave indeed, said Lion. He did a lazy half roll, and Mouse found himself back on the ground. Show me how brave you are. Mouse spied a tall blade of grass and hurled himself at it, shouting, Watch me! Take this! I see, said Lion. How many battles have you fought, little mouse? Believe me, King, I try to avoid them. I'm quite small, you see, but I don't avoid mountains. I go right over them if they're in my way. Please let me go, Mouse begged. You might need me someday in a pinch. Lion laughed and laughed. I need you? Good joke. But I like you, little mouse. Go and climb more mountains and don't brag about your bravery, King Lion gave his paw to be kissed, but Mouse meekly backed away. Bless you, sire, and goodbye. Mouse tripped over his tail and rolled down the ridge and out of sight. Lion thought about him for a moment, yawned, and soon fell back asleep. A year passed, and Lion forgot all about his little acquaintance. One afternoon, a warm breeze in the tall grass made him drowsy. Ah, yes, he thought. A wink under that old baobab tree. Just the thing. He paddled into the leafy shade, stumbled straight into a trap set by hunters. A net dropped and twisted around him. The more he kicked and struggled, the more tightly it bound him. It hurts, he cried, but nobody heard him. At sunrise, Mouse popped out of his nest and sniffed. He smelled Lion and came running. No reason to be afraid of our king, he said. No reason at all. He found Lion in a sorry tangle, panting beneath the baobab tree. "Oh, King," he said, "do you remember how you laughed at me? I can help you now." "Little one," moaned. "Lion, what can you do?" "Don't worry, my little teeth are just what you need." "You tell me not to worry," Lion grunted. "Good joke, little mouse." Mouse set to it, nibbling the net, and tickling Lion with his paws as he scampered to and fro. Finally, Mouse declared, "You are free, Lion. Sire, I mean." Lion looked up, shook his mane, and roared. Then he crouched low to look in Mouse's eyes. Those little eyes seemed full of darting thoughts and things to do. "You shall be free, Mouse. I grant you liberty to climb every mountain in my kingdom, even mountains that snore and rumble in their sleep, and roll over when you climb on them. Visit me again, my friend."
I will,
Mouse promised.
now please take care. Men are everywhere with traps to snare us, large and small.
Lion watched until Mouse vanished between the rocks and the grasses. Then he too bounded away until he reached the ridge where he could scratch and dream of bats and beetles, ants, cicadas, bright sunbirds, and scampering mice. That day, such small things made him happy.
It's so good. One last book. Woo. My book is called Big Little Brother. Who has a little brother? How about a little sister? All right. Big brother. All right. Well, this is about a big little brother. It's my fault. I wanted a little brother. When I finally got one, I had big plans. And when you are older, you will do whatever I tell you to do. Then he grew. 3 months, 12 months, and he grew 16 months and kept growing 18 months until we were the same size. But he kept growing. Now people think he is my older brother. No, he's my little brother. I'm 4, and he's only 2. He can't even talk. I have a big boy bed, and he's in a crib. I have pajamas, and he's in a diaper. He loves to eat, especially donuts. He grabs the first donut he sees, and he holds it all day. There he goes, down the street on his trike. There's his donut. We live on a busy road. All night, when we go to bed, at night when we go to bed, the headlights of passing cars make scary shadows across our room. He cries, so Mom sings to him. Good night, brother. Good night, brother. Good night, brother. We all love you so. When he falls asleep at night, his hands unfold and donut crumbs fall out. In the morning, he goes straight to touching all my toys. Those are mine. And follows me everywhere. I know you're in here. Where are you? Oh, he makes me so mad. The only peace I have is when Mom drops me off at the Old Woman's Shoe, a place for kids to stay while Moms shop. I've never seen the old woman, but her giant shoe is still there. It's full of toys, trucks, and blocks, stuffed animals, and crayons, and paper. That looks like a fun place, don't you think? My favorite is the kitchen. It has kid-sized stoves and refrigerators and spoons. I can make a whole Thanksgiving dinner by the time Mom returns, but I have to get straight to work. I put the tasty plastic turkey in the oven. But another kid walks up to the stove and he takes it out. It isn't done yet. It still needs several more minutes. He just stands there holding the turkey, my turkey. I have an idea, but Mom says, remember to ask with our words, not our teeth. So I say, that's mine. And I take it back. He pushes me down hard. I want to cry, but I stand up. We are going to have Thanksgiving, and we are going to enjoy it. The kid takes a step toward me. Uh-oh. Then he stops. That's when I see my big little brother standing next to me with his largeness and his fists full of donuts. The kid walks away. Thanksgiving has been saved. I cook the rest of the meal in peace. Mom says, from now on, she'll leave my brother with me while she shops. He isn't too much help in the kitchen, but he's a good eater. At home, he still touches my things and follows me. Somehow, it isn't so annoying. At night, when the headlights come, I sing to him. Good night, brother. Good night, brother. Good night, brother. We all love you so. Oh, somebody took a bite out of this page. The end. Thanks for coming.